All right, let me jump in here real quick and talk about Dancing with the Stars. And after 30 years, it being sent away, is it over, or is it just going to a streaming platform? First of all, let's talk about Dancing with the Stars and its performance in general. After 30 seasons, the show was so big at one point, and the last couple seasons have really taken quite a dip. Now, I'm not one of these people who does this whole like, well, no one watches TV anyway, because what warms my heart about Dancing with the Stars at the beginning was, my grandmother used to love watching the show. So we would connect on that level. That was one show that she could really dive into, have such a fun commentary from the couch, and it was just an enjoyable experience. And I think over the years, the show, like all of these shows, unfortunately, it feels like they're trying to do two different things. They're trying to gain a younger audience by casting younger, which I already think is a bad move because the people who are still retaining on television are not the youngest crowd. It's people, who have 9 to 5 jobs, a 35-year-old, a 45-year-old, a 65-year-old, a 75-year-old. It's families, it's mothers, it's grandmothers. So when you start having your shows, and I'm reflecting back to last season, one of my favorite cast members of all time was Queen Kenya Moore. Her being 50 years old, being one of the oldest cast members, it just doesn't relate anymore. I love Kenya Moore, but Kenya Moore should have been middle age. There should have been, cast members that were 75 who, appeared in the musical Grease or something like that. Like, take it back to those eras, because that's who the viewership was. And I think there was a confusion possibly from the network where they were trying to compete and trying to have all the dances were trying to be clipped out so they could go on YouTube, and they did, and that probably worked to a degree. But you had cast members that were just so polarizingly young, and it seemed like it was expected to have those really young cast members potentially bring their fan base to television, and they're just typically not going to do that because the people of that age group, they like to watch things on their phone, they like to watch things on the go. They don't need to watch a show from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and a late night show after that. That's not what they've been brought up by. And typically I never necessarily back that up, because I'm always like, that seems silly to me. I still like a little bit of structure in television watching, but it was across the board show that fit great for middle America, fit great for the artist types, it fit great for the coastal, East Coast, West Coast. Like, anyone could have watched it. But I think over the last couple of years, the division between taking younger cast members at the forefront, maybe trying to arc those cast members to have these monumental and pivotal moments, these relationships, are they, aren't they? And then above all, there's a lot of critique for Tyra Banks. And I want to do a little bit of commentary on what I feel with Tyra, because I don't think she's necessarily to blame. The show may have ran its course. But anyways, the biggest thing about it is Dancing with the Stars is moving to Disney Plus. So this might also not be a Dancing with the Stars snub. This might also be another thing to add to Disney Plus. However, I think Disney Plus does pretty good because they really do good within all the programming that is, the cartoons and all the other things that are affiliated with Disney Plus. But maybe, just maybe, Disney Plus isn't doing good with shows that have a little reality competition base, and maybe some of the other platforms like Paramount Plus or Peacock Network, maybe those places are doing better, and this is just Disney's way to say, let's take a show that sort of ran its course with the network, but it still can reproduce and have a great season 31 on Disney Plus. It might just be as simple as that. Now, there was the rumbling of, is it Tyra? I gotta say, I think sometimes it's really true what they say about certain people that have been winning for a long time, that they're only around yes people. Oh, should I do this? Yes, that worked. Oh, what about the yes? Oh, and I got this project coming. Yeah, everyone's saying yes. But there's got to be a part where maybe this was not the smartest move for her. And the way that it was done was a great move, career wise. Tyra has always been bankable, within a production company. She's always been a great businesswoman. I like the stuff that she's done with her mother. I love their rapport. And I think Tyra, coming from being a model and everything that she has accomplished, has been very good. But then yet we get all these stories over the years of the Tyra Banks show, America's Next Top Model, which is subject to people are always going to have an opinion, and they're rightfully so to have that too. But when too many things happen, you got to kind of wonder. But then at the same time, Tyra's job is not to baby you on the show. Tyra's job is to give you a platform. You have to do with it what it is, and it is a TV show. It's not a this is your best friend. Let's teach you how to be a model. That's called a friendship. It was a TV show, but I don't know all the things that are being said about that, but I know that it's not always the most favorable. But then beyond that, I think rather than getting into that, I would say, was she the right fit? I think no. I think she wasn't the right fit. And having all those yes people around her probably allowed it to be done in that way. When she entered the show, it seemed like Tom Bergeron was done, and they had a co-host. I believe it was Aaron Andrews at the time, which before that I think it was Brooke Burke. Before that it was Samantha Harris. Um, and it was always a two host situation because you have copied to deliver here, but then you have commentary to come over here, kind of like you're watching the Lakers in the 80s. You have Chick Hearns, you have Stu Lentz. It's like one doesn't go without the other. They both work in unison. So why and who are the yes people on the Dancing with the Stars side too, who say, oh yeah, let's just eliminate that and give it to one host like Tyra. She could do it. Now, mind you, I do think, honestly, Tyra did a really good job on America's Got Talent right after Nick Cannon. I did think she did good there. Side note, I actually worked in production on season 9 and 10 of America's Got Talent when they were back in New York. That was Howard Stern's final season. I worked in the post-production department. But I remember watching seasons after that when Nick had left and Tyra had started. I thought she was good for that. The show kind of worked. She was able to kind of talk with the people, give them a little bit of a back and forth, nudge them in a certain way. And it was kind of like wacky Tyra. But for some reason in the Dancing with the Stars space, it didn't work. And I think it's because America's Got Talent works for her because she is a model, and we will never knock. I mean, that is one of the toughest things to achieve in the entertainment industry in those days, currently and tomorrow. It's being a model is always going to be difficult. But what I think is missing is putting her on Dancing with the Stars, and you're kind of like, okay, we could see Tom Bergeron not being a dancer because his host skill set is impeccable. He hits the copy straight to camera. He steps to the side. He tosses Darren Andrews. I mean, it's so musical almost. It's in unison. Tyra was feeling like a lot of word jumble was coming at her at one time, and so to that, I don't know why. I think it was 2 seasons that she did it, and again, she was like the executive producer. Like, it was probably a lot of jobs were lost for Tyra to do that. So my thing is, if hey Ronnie, we want you for this project, I'm not sure I could say no either because you want to take the challenge. So that's the part I won't knock with Tyra. You want to take the challenge. However, I wish I would have, if I was in Tyra's situation, the inclination in my mind and my people and my team to say, hey, Ronnie, it's always been a 2-person team. And, I think you could really benefit by, you're talking with the judges, you're talking with the contestants, and then you're going to send it upstairs. After the scores come in to your co-host, you're going to regroup. You're going to come back here with hey, we got a premiere on ABC, The Bachelor's coming up. It felt like Tyra herself, the team, the management, the network, somebody should have said, we've got to get somebody in here. And it could have been somebody who's been on the show before, who's had the experience of dance, who's won over that demographic already, the ABC Dancing with the Stars demographic, who just had a great season, didn't even necessarily need to win, and it would have played better. It would have given story. And I think that was the thing that was eliminated. So not to put it all on Tyra, but definitely some things to look at. Do I see Tyra doing the Disney Plus version? I guess that's to be told, but it just doesn't seem like the right fit. Truth be told, I think I mean, I think they should, if they're not going to give it to a dancer and they want it to be more on the funny and comedic side, which may have been the plan. Okay, we're not going to give it to a host. We'll give it to Tyra because she's wacky, she's fun. And I will say, yes, on Dancing on Amazing Race, Amazing Race. Ooh, imagine her going on Amazing Race. Imagine me going on Amazing Race. when she was on America's Got Talent, she was really good. But I guess it's really just defining what you want to do, because honestly, bringing in somebody from dance may not work. You know, you would you put Jenna Dewan on it on the project. You know, she may not fit, though she was a dancer. Though she was with Channing Tatum, it might not fit. She might not be funny enough or charismatic enough. And I'm not knocking her. Or you do a comedy route. I really think who they should go with is the great Michelle Buteau, and just keep it on a lighthearted and comedic space. The show's going to be serious because people are going to be competing to try to win, but then you got to have that liaison who kind of takes the information, the serious scores, the ambition, the tiredness, the excitement, the oh my God, am I getting voted out of the room? And then know how to play with it in a humorous way. Tyra just like almost was too up. Yeah, she was a little too up, that it felt like she wasn't sympathetic to people have been giving weeks and weeks and weeks and backbreaking and actually backbreaking, work to try to achieve these steps, in the ballroom and do really well and try to compete and win. And Tyra was like always a little too wacky for what you would want. Like if I'm busting my butt trying to learn and in week 1 I'm terrible, but by week 9 I have been putting in and all of a sudden I finally do get voted out. I don't want her to be like just too up there. I need, talk to me, Tyra, talk to me. So I would say Michelle Buteau definitely for the new version should be the front runner. I just threw that name out of the top of my hat just because, I do remember Michelle from a hosting class we took years ago, and I was there at her first, the viewing party of her Comedy Central special years ago. It was at a venue in downtown Manhattan. So I've seeing all of her growth is just so exciting. But I think yeah, if Disney Plus could throw her a nice contract and it be filmed in New York, maybe it could work out for her. I guess that would be the wrapping up of this episode. But if you have any suggestions of who you think should host the next Dancing with the Stars outside of myself, definitely put it in the comments, because there's so many different directions with the show. And also talk about in the comments, talk about the direction. Do you want it to be a season of all new people? Do you want it to be a season of like all stars? Some of those people who got so close but never necessarily won. That could be a fun way to do it too. But ultimately, I think the casting just needs to grow a little bit in age. You just can't do 19-year-olds and think, oh, well, that's going to get the young fan base to come watch television. And the same thing with digital. They're not going to just go and watch Disney Plus. I mean, maybe Disney Plus is a different thing because there is such a big programming slate over there. I really don't know the answer. I just know Dancing with the Stars was a show that I used to watch with my grandmother. It's so freaking cute. And I think nobody should necessarily be in a negative space over like, oh, it's it's over, because after 30 after 30 seasons, for it to do so well and for the most part go off without a hitch is pretty good. Probably some scandals along the way, probably some stuff, but it's a great moment for recuperating and reshifting and trying new things. I think dropping the ball certainly would be that if last season was 30th, if it was the 30th season, how come we weren't really getting that? Now we may have been told that by Tyra, because I watched, by the way, because I was a Kenya Moore fan. But if we didn't get that, it's not the same. Don't tell us it's the 30th season. Show us it's the 30th season. Run clips of when Leah Remini was on the show. Run clips when Billy Ray Cyrus had a daughter named, well, not Hannah Montana, but Miley Cyrus, and she was still barely being found out about. People were barely learning who she was. Run clips of Wendy Williams, who was on season 2 of her talk show. And yes, Wendy Williams fans knew who she was, but not the big mass audience. And she obviously didn't do well, but she was coming in and out from New York to LA to do the show. Run those clips. Run Sabrina from the Cheetah Girls. Like bring a Brooke Burke, Samantha Harris, Aaron Andrews. Bring back all of that nostalgia that you have. It's one of the reasons that Paramount Plus does so good with the Real World, Homecoming, and the Challenge All Stars, because they're doing the same type of shows, but they're bringing back the people who we loved so many years ago, giving us a little bit of nostalgia, telling us new stories, and they're also giving the cast members a chance to be familiarized into this new audience. Half of the people that did these shows years ago, there wasn't even social media, and if there was, there wasn't it social media in a way that it was monetized. So anyways, just this was not a trashing or talking bad about Dancing with the Stars. Again, I'm not one of those older people. Well, I guess younger people say this, but I'm not one of those 41-year-olds who was like, "Oh, TV's over." And no, I like TV. I watch Call Me Kat on Fox. I watch what do I watch? Abbott Elementary. I like sitcoms. I like warm-hearted stuff. I'm not against television watching. I know everyone swears it's all about Twitch, it's all about YouTube, it's all about all these things, and that's all good too. Glad you're watching right now. But I don't necessarily think that you still can't put out a good program. And if that program has to live on Disney Plus, just make it good. If it has to live on ABC, make it good. I will tell you, in the meantime, do support patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. if you want to get even more of the content that I do here on the paywall, which is a little bit more explanatory and more intimate. I'd give it up pretty good on this channel, but this is the public forum. And of course, hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. has over 320 videos. So you could pick and choose what you want across 3 channels. And I've been at this for a very long time. So come to think of it, yeah, I should probably be in the running to do Dancing with the Stars as one of the new hosts or coaches or, media and strategy, branding or something like that. All the networks should hire me. I'm just saying. That wraps up the show. I hope Dancing with the Stars picks great cast members. If they ever want to pick me, I would love to lose a little bit of weight. Along that journey, I would love to learn how to dance. And yeah, I don't see why I can't be on Dancing with the Stars myself. So we have to keep dreams out there. And it was a great show. And I really, like I said, thinking about my late grandmother, that show was so communicative because, she may have been tired or, other things may have went over her head or whatnot, but not that Dancing with the Stars. She loved it so much. And I just loved that time we had watching with her. So Dancing with the Stars was a little bit bigger than a television program. It was a connecting force. And though it's going to move on, the ABC version is gone. It will continue, and it's interesting to see. Opens up new room for ABC. What they're going to do? What new types of shows are they going to do? Are they going to go more into extreme dating reality, which I think is a bit corny, or are they going to go back to some good sitcoms? Abbott Elementary is doing great. Stay there. Again, hire me as a consultant. I'm kidding. It's time to go though. And yes, this was not to knock on Tyra. I think Tyra is fantastic. I hope that everyone who worked on the Dancing with the Stars project continues to flourish and find the next job. If it's not with the Disney Plus version or hiatus or whatever the case, we all want to win. I gotta go. Bye.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.